What's up, everybody? Stefan Martinez here in the barrel there. Uh, just gonna do a little bit of what we did yesterday. Let you guys kind of steer the ship and tell us what you want us to talk about and all this stuff. But I think it would be fitting right now if we open the show in tribute to um, a man simply known as the franchise. Tom Seaver lost his battle with dementia yesterday at the age of 75 in his California home. He was actually in his wine vineyard last weekend procuring grapes. So if anybody knows anything about Tom Seaver, is he loved his wine and he was an avid wine developer. And this wasn't a shock because he wasn't at the 50th anniversary of the 69 team last year. And, his health had been failing him for a while now. So, we all knew that this day was ultimately going to come. But it's never easy when, not only an icon, but the face of a franchise some 40 years after he played for them is still being revered in the way Tom Seaver is revered by Met fans. And with that, we welcome you to the show. Big Dog, what is going on?
What's up? Yeah, very sad news for Met fans, young and old. Unfortunately, we never got to see Tom Seaver pitch. But from stories I've heard and, you see highlights, I mean, just one of the greatest pitchers, maybe the greatest pitcher and player in Met history.
Mm-hmm.
Brought a lot of people great memories in the 60s. What's up, Kayla? Mm-hmm. The Miracle Mets winning in 69. Just a great human being,
mm-hmm.
great pitcher. Just a huge loss. He was revered and loved by the Met fan base.
And, I was reading a bunch of articles today, and I think a couple of articles I read summed it up. David Lennon of Newsday on Long Island, he wrote that basically every time you heard the ovation for Tom Seaver after his playing days, the ovations got louder. The love got stronger. And I guess it's true what they say, absence makes the heart grow fonder, because the more he got away from his pitching days and his, being that warrior, he was just a lovable figure because he was the hope of what Met fans remembered as, we weren't supposed to do it, but because of him, we did. And let me just run through some of his stats.
Yeah, go ahead.
3,640 strikeouts, 311 wins. He ranks first in wins with the Mets, 198 wins. He should have had more than that because he was on some terrible 70s teams. 3,045 innings pitched.
Wow.
3 Cy Young awards, 5 top 5 Cy Young award finishes. Okay. Hear this. He has 96 complete games.
Wow.
The most by any Met in history. And if he had the lead going into the 9th inning, he was 93-3.
Okay, how many?
So you want to talk about a guy that was just no nonsense, give me the ball and get out the way. That was couple heartfelt statements were released and by Doc Gooden, who spoke about when he won the Cy Young in '85, how one of the first calls he received was from Tom Seaver congratulating him on the award.
Wow.
And, Jacob deGrom actually put out a statement. I put it on the show's pages as well, where he said, I never saw him pitch, but that's who I emulated, putting on this uniform. That is the essence of perfection. So this loss is felt deeply not only by baseball fans but by Met fans as a whole, and it sucks. A day like today, it
It
definitely
does.
sucks. And I feel like we've been doing this way too often. Like I feel like
2020 just it stinks. It
just
really stinks.
it just brutal, man, brutal. A couple other tidbits on Seaver, and then we'll move on. He was actually Big Dog. You mentioned this to me before the show. He got his 300th win as a White Sox
Yep.
at Yankee Stadium, which, and I watched the Donna Greca rant today.
Oh, classic.
If you haven't seen this rant,
Please Google it, YouTube
do
it.
yourself a favor and jump on YouTube and go watch Don LaGreca literally almost like gasp for breath as he rants about his New York Mets. It's breathtaking for all the wrong reasons, obviously, because you don't want to see anybody practically lose breath trying to vent.
But he was upset, and rightfully so, as a Met fan.
I would agree, and this is the unfortunate part of all this is that you look at him and you go, you know what, man? I know me and you, we joke about it, but today I sympathize with Met fans, and I sympathize with you guys usually, but on a day like today, I super sympathize with you guys because I know me and you joke about it, and I joke that if we don't win the championship after 6 months, it's a wasted season, and in some ways I feel like that. But after seeing just the amount of like love slash affection slash I don't even know what to call it, admiration for a guy that won one championship and he's still revered all these years later, that just shows you how much, how
He
much.
was like the Joe Namath of the Mets, right? Around the same year, won the chip.
I think that, it's crazy. He even mentioned that because they did a profile on him on SNY. He talked about the Mets, the Jets, and the Knicks all winning championships in the same year.
Imagine that happened again. The city would forget it.
God.
That'd be fun.
For me and you.
Yeah.
Imagine that party. Oh, my God.
The city would shut down for sure.
Oh, the city would, people wouldn't know what to do. But, thoughts and prayers to the Seaver family. Thoughts and prayers to, the Mets organization as a whole. And
it just goes to show, and especially here in New York with our certain teams, like those three specifically, if you at least win one chip or you take that team to the final or Super Bowl, World Series, whatever, even if you lose, you're still a god. Like Patrick Ewing is still a god in New York. Even though they lost, he's still revered by Knicks fans. I mentioned name it. Tom Seaver.
Right.
And there was a reason they called him the franchise. Like you said, he was that hope for Mets fans.
From the beginning. He was the guy that you looked at and said, this is the guy we're going to build a franchise around and get to know. And, oh, man. It sucks. So, R.I.P. Tom Seaver and Godspeed.
Yes.
Godspeed.
Give the Mets a win today. Help us come back.
Listen, usually I would fight you on this because you're playing my boys, but today of all days, I hope they do get the win for them. I'm feeling magnanimous. Zachary says he's free. So what we're going to do now is, Zach, hang on, buddy. I'm going to send you a link to your Facebook Messenger app. You're going to click that link, and you're going to come on with us for a few. So I'm going to send Zachary the link now. And he's going to come on with us for a bit before he says bon voyage. and beat us a Duke, as Vinny Morante would say. Big Dog, so what are your feelings as a Met fan? I know we didn't get to see him pitch, but you didn't get to see him pitch, but
It's sad. Just hearing stories from my grandfather, my dad, my uncles, all grew up Met fans. It's everything we said, just he was just that guy for the Mets. And unfortunately, and you brought it up to me earlier, like they traded him away practically for a bag of baseballs, like nothing.
First of all, that trade in '77, Georgia, whoever decided that was a good idea, like Met fans have never recovered from that, and that's why I wanted to bring this up to you.
We're still scarred.
You're still scarred, but in some ways you're cursed. The trade of Tom Seaver, that's like trading the golden goose and saying, no, we'll be all right.
Yeah.
You don't trade the golden goose, not in the golden goose's prime.
No.
The guy was still remarkable. Yeah,
let's
trade him away.
And then he did come back in '83.
And then they left him unprotected in the expansion draft in '84. And what do the White Sox do, being smart? They grab him up. Just really heartbreaking stuff. Anyway, we're going to welcome a guest onto the show.
What's up?
Hey, guys. How we doing? Thanks for welcoming me.
How are you?
Today.
Big Zach, how are you doing, man? It's a pleasure to have you on.
I'm doing great, man. How's everybody doing?
Good. You?
Good. A little down today with the loss of Tom Seaver. But
it's
we're hanging in there, man. How are you? How's everything in the lovely confines of the Massachusetts, Boston area?
My area where we live right now, our cases are rising pretty high, to be honest. I got orders this morning where my thing may be delayed because of everybody in Massachusetts area has to be quarantining. Okay. So looks like I'm home a couple more months. I'm not sure yet. I'll hear back tonight. What's the deal?
Well, thoughts and prayers and all that stuff is with your community and with you guys, and stay safe, man. And but let's just talk some sports, man. Let's get into it. So your Celtics are up 2-0 on the Raptors. I figured we start with some basketball and then we transition to some football and we'll do whatever you want to do. But how are you feeling about this series? And do you think that Toronto ultimately makes this a series, or you think you guys put the hammer down tonight and go up 3-0?
Well, to answer your question, Steven, I think in my own perspective, with the Celtics going up 2-0 in this series against the Raptors, it's been a tough season for every team over the past couple months where they've had minimal training. Everybody got back in a training camp a couple months back. With Tatum on the court, I think we're doing pretty well, where most of our point guards are up to date with their training, and some of the coaching staff themselves are working extra double time to work with our teams, go through drills, and get everybody back into shape, even though the playoffs are coming to a close soon. We don't know. Maybe it'll be the Celtics and the Miami Heat, or it'll be the Bucs and
Hey, I got to be honest with you. I had Miami going to the conference finals anyway. I've said this. I've been a proponent of them for a while. If you guys been watching this show since the very beginning, I'm high on both the Raptors and the Heat. Now, the Raptors are making me look a little foolish right now with the fact that they're down 2-0. But if you are the Celtics, you've done the right thing. You put yourself in prime position to go out there and take advantage and possibly steal another game and possibly win the series. And I think, listen, Milwaukee's also down 2-0. That's the thing we also have to pay attention to, because everybody was like, Milwaukee's the talk of the Eastern Conference. They came into the bubble with the best record in the East, and they handled Orlando fairly easily. But this is the one thing I do like about Boston is I love their depth. I think once Gordon Hayward gets back, I think it's a completely different situation. Hopefully he's able to get back on the court soon from the ankle injury. But Zach, what do you think are the what do you think are the keys heading into Game 3 tonight? Because it's a pivotal Game 3.
Well, Game 3 for the Boston Celtics tonight we're gonna have to show some of the best offense that we have, like we've had some of the past couple games where we've had our 3-pointers. Our point guards have been doing pretty well with the 3-pointers behind the line. The shots in the paint have been kind of tough, where the Raptors defense does come up pretty hard. They do become aggressive sometimes. The main thing we got to try not to do tonight is get personal fouls. Last 2 games we had plenty of personal fouls on them.
I mean, if I'm you though, I kind of like the physical play. I'm going to use a hockey analogy for Big Dog. I kind of want you to use your personal fouls because I don't want you to feel like it's easy. This is not going to be easy. I don't want you coming into the lane or into into my crease or at the basket feeling like you're not going to get hit. We're going to hit you. And do you have to be judicious with your fouls, especially because you have limited bodies with no Gordon Hayward and Marcus Smart is starting for you now? You do have to be more judicious. However, I do like the fact that Boston is using the physicality to their advantage, because that's one thing that Big Dog struggles with the NBA is it's not physical enough. People score too easily, and for the most part, he's right. So you would like this series because they're fouling people, they're hitting people. This feels very, very 80s-esque. So Kayla has a question for you, Big Dog, and she asked you, "Are you ready for tonight?"
I'm ready for tonight.
We're gonna get to you guys series last and give the people a little bit of what they want, what you guys are ranting. But so I'm not even gonna ask who you got winning tonight, Zach, because I think I know the answer to that question. But
good choice.
Oh, he said Islanders. You got the Islanders.
I think it's going to be the Islanders tonight, where what they're doing, how their cross checkups have been pretty well this season, this playoff series. They're doing pretty well. They're on a lead. They came back, so I think they have the series win.
We have that resiliency, but I want to ask you some Bruins questions.
Go ahead.
What do you think was the biggest reason why they got eliminated in 5 games? And also, do you think Chara will come back? And what's the future of Torrey Krug looking like, in your opinion? Does he come back? Or
to answer your question, I think the main loss for the Boston Celtics the Boston Bruins were that they didn't play their hardest. We lost some of our key players. Lots of our players opted out throughout the season. Most of them were not able and fit to play. Like, let's look at Tuukka Rask for pointers. He opted halfway out through the second series, and that kind of screwed us. And we looked at it and we said, Bruce Cassidy called team meeting and said, what are we going to do? They brought in Yaroslav Halak. He did the best he could, and I give him lots of props. He did everything he could to stop all the shots on goals. His second, when we took the 2-1 lead, he did pretty well. In the first, he helped us to victory on the first series. Now, when we look at the Blues, if we look at the Blues defense, they are some of the hardest in the leagues.
yes,
We all know that. Over the past years, we've faced them plenty of times in the playoffs. I think we versed them the last 2 years or 3 years ago.
the Lightning,
Yeah.
Yep.
That was in the playoffs. We versed them, but we lost that because we got to realize their goaltender is one of the best in the NHL.
Oh yeah.
They're strong. They're motivated, just like Boston is. To get to Chara, to be honest, in my own opinion, I think it's his time. To be honest, I think it's he has kids. I don't blame him. It's a good time to call retirement, I think.
Yeah, I mean, he's won a cup. He went to the cup final in 2013 also, and first ballot Hall of Famer, in my opinion, as a hockey fan, no doubt.
And Big Dog, you said something interesting about Chara. You said basically the other night he has nothing to prove.
He does.
No.
When you've basically won everything he's won and you've done everything he's done, like what else is there left?
Not really. And Zach, you know this being a fan.
Yeah.
His role has been kind of not diminished, but he hasn't been a big part of that team. He's becoming more of a leader now and kind of a mentor.
To the younger and the new recruits.
Yeah, his minutes have been down compared to years back. So, but what about Torrey Krug?
That's a
huge
tough subject.
piece.
That's a tough subject on Torrey Krug's future. I think that they're going to end up trading him for that second-round pick or that first-round pick. You never know.
Wow.
I heard today that they're actually looking. They may be getting. What was his name? Io or AHO? I can never pronounce his name. One of the teams are considering trading Torrey Krug for him. I was looking at some of the Boston Celtics rumors this morning. They're actually interested.
Real quick, if that's true, the Sebastian Aho that's he's in Carolina, correct?
I think so. Yes. Yeah, the Hurricanes.
How would that work for you, Big Dog? Do you think that's good enough to trade for Torrey Krug, or you think they need a little more?
A little more. I don't know about you, Zach, but I think Torrey Krug is one of the absolute key pieces for the Bruins' success. I'm really not sure about trading him, but I mean, would you be okay with that, with Sebastian Aho and maybe a draft pick or two? Because
I think that's what they'll end up doing.
If I'm Cam Neely, I would ask for more than just
Sebastian
Aho, in my opinion.
It really comes down to what we needed, key factors for the team. That's what it all really comes down to. Key factors and key pointers for our teams on what we need to work on and what players we will acquire for next offseason.
Mm-hmm.
It really all depends.
What do you see for the Bruins next season? I know, again, who knows what the schedule will be like and what's going to happen.
Are they starting on time this year for training camp? I'm not sure. Are they?
I'm not sure either. I'm hearing possibly November training camps and then start in December at some time.
We'll be way behind schedule than usual.
Who knows?
To be honest, with when it comes to the Boston Bruins, any Boston team or any team in general is iffy right now, especially for the Boston Bruins, where it comes down to are we going to have vaccine by next season? Are players going to be fans going to be able to attend? I think that is what happened. That's why we lost, to be honest. In my own opinion, that's why, because they did not have the fans to rally around them. Every team needs their home team. When they have home ice advantage, they need their fans to rally around them, to amp them up, to help them win that championship. And for the past couple of years, 2013, let's look at that. We managed to do it. We did. We had our home advantage ice.
Yeah, I've heard stories about the Garden, the TD Garden rocks, man, when you guys are on a roll. And even when you're down, look at that Game 7. That's one of the best playoff games I've ever watched.
Dude, we can look at all of our stadiums, Fenway, TD Garden. We can look at so many, what is there? Foxborough. That's a key factor for Massachusetts, to be honest. Foxborough, the New England Patriots. That is a key factor for our home.
And here's the thing. I do agree that the loss of fans is paramount. However, if I can interject and say this, you knew what you were signing up for before you thought of this.
Yeah.
So while I do believe that does play a part to a certain degree, it's not like this should take you by surprise. Now is the time that you should be locked in. You're like, because I don't mean to play favorites here, but look at the Islanders, look at the Flyers, look at the teams that are still here. Of course, they would love to have
these two on their home crowd. I say that a lot.
They would love to have their crowd. They would love to have people that rally around them and say, "Hey, let's get another goal." Of course, but I think it takes a certain special group to lock in and go, "Hey, this is what it takes for us to win." And in a way, I think it makes it easier for the players to lock in because it's not as though they have no distractions, like family asking them for tickets and friends asking them for tickets. And can we go to the games? And can we be in the suites? And can we do this and that? I think in this way, it allows them to lock in and focus more. Now, granted, do certain players play better with the atmosphere at a certain level? I agree with that. I don't think that's a bad statement or a misnomer. I just think it's a little interesting that you bring that up, Zach, because I've heard that brought up by several people, not just Boston fans. I've heard it brought up by Toronto fans. Like if the Maple Leafs had the crowd, would the series have been different? If this one had the crowd, would the series have been different?
All points are valid, absolutely. But players, like you said, Stefan, they got to be locked in and be ready what they signed up for. But Zach, I can understand your point. Certain teams, they just feed off that energy.
And to be honest,
Losing Pasta for a couple of games and Rask, that you could tell that hurt them. I still believe though in Boston just because of their depth, but it turned out,
Yeah.
that whole thing, having a backup with no NHL experience
True.
hurt them. But to shift to football, and then we'll ask you some Red Sox questions. Your Patriots, do you think they will win the division this year?
Oh yeah, with the way we're training hard right now, we have a new quarterback that's a former MVP.
He said that with confidence. He's like, "Oh yeah,
I would too if I was a Patriot."
We don't need Brady. We got Cam Newton,
and Belichick is going Google Gaga.
Oh, I gotta do it. I gotta Cam
over Cam, man, and his training regimen. Apparently, Cam's working his butt off up there at training camp. So, and that's scary if you're a team in the AFC, you're a team in the NFL in general. Like the Patriots, you can't doubt them because Bill's still there. I know no Brady, but
I still don't want that smoke. As old as
no way.
They're done. They're old. Nah, don't poke the bear. Don't poke the bear.
How far do you think they could go? Because I know a lot of Patriots did opt out. But do you still see them making a deep run in the playoffs?
Well, with most of our players opting out for the season, it may be tough. Because they canceled all preseason games, right? All preseason games are canceled.
Yeah.
So our first game is going to be September 13th, which is not even 10 days away. Just exactly, actually, 10 days away, where we play the Miami Dolphins. Actually, no. Yes.
We have Dolphins, yep. Yeah, and we got the Bills.
Yeah. So that's for New England, I think, because Miami, their training regimen has been pretty well this year.
Miami, I like what they're doing with Brian Flores. And
yeah.
You got Tua, and I like what they're building down there in Miami. If you get everybody, if they're able to keep building the offense.
I'm a little worried as a Jet fan. They could build something not up to New England standards, but they could be a dangerous team in a couple of years, especially when Tua is totally healthy. But yeah, New England to me is still the class of the division. I'm sorry, Bills fans, but and until Allen shows me something more, you still got to go New England, I think.
Well, we got to look at another thing. We got to look at some of our wide receivers that are opting out for the season. That's another key factor for our teams, where most of our players are opting out. It's going to be a complete chaos, to be honest. Here's the thing.
That's tied it up.
I know.
Tom Seaver's spirit alive and well.
Yeah.
I'm not. Usually, I'd be upset right now, but I'm not even going to be upset right now. I'm just going to let it ride. It is what it is, and I'll say this for no further comment. J-Hap.
Hey, 1 sec, guys. I'll be right back.
Sure.
J-Hap, gotta go. I'll trade him for a bag of balls, seeds, and some bubble gum.
Wow.
Some big league chew. He gotta go. I'm done with it. But no, I think New England. Listen, as long as Bill Belichick is there, I'm not totally gonna rule out them having the ability to. Oh, wait a minute! Do you got the cam on already?
I already got number one.
Is that authenticated? Is that like
the New Jersey already out?
Wow.
Going back. I'm sorry to cut you off. Just going back to the Bruins for 1 second, because a couple of quotes came out. Zdeno Chara saying, quote, "I want to stay in Boston." And Torrey Krug saying, quote, "This is my time in terms of my value being at its peak." What do you make of those two quotes?
For Chara, I think he's done. He said he wants to stay in Boston, but I think he's thinking of his family right now, especially with this virus. I think if we don't have a vaccine by next season, I think he ain't coming back. I think he's going to call it retirement.
Well, I see it the opposite. I think Chara comes back, and I think Torrey Krug goes where the money is.
Yes, every player goes where the money is.
Yeah, but I think when you start talking about where he's valued and what he's valued at, that's kind of like a signal of, oh, do you not value me? Because if you don't value me, then I'm going to go somewhere where I am valued, and I'm going to make the best decision for me and my family. Listen, we hate to hear it because some of these guys are our favorite players, and we don't want to hear about the money because we think they're all rich, and you get to play a sport. And I get all that. You're not wrong for feeling how you feel if you feel that way. I think it's Torrey Krug just looking out for Torrey Krug. And there's a couple teams in the NHL right now that would love to add him. I know Toronto would love a guy like Torrey Krug if they could make that work.
Imagine that'd be a huge move.
I know a team like the Stars could probably use a Torrey Krug right now.
That would be
after what they're going through.
Nearly trading Krug to a rival like the Leafs, the Canadiens, even Buffalo. I can't see it.
I mean, I can't see it either. But if somebody offers you 2 number 1 picks, or you get set up with a nice package,
he's a Michigan native. Detroit's also in Boston's division. I would have full trust in Cam to make a trade. Right, Zach, wouldn't you say Cam Neely has done an amazing job in the playoffs?
Yeah. As a scout too over the years? Oh yeah. He sees potential, he'll take it for the team.
Right. That's a very interesting thought process there, Big Dog. Thank you for letting me in on that. Cam Neely feels like an old school sort of GM that he doesn't want to sacrifice giving anything away. He wants to keep his cards close to the vest. And if you're Cam Neely, you gotta already know, okay, I'm thinking the Western Conference, I'm thinking maybe Nashville, I'm thinking maybe teams that are not in my division, so I don't have to see him.
Yeah, and plus he played for the Bruins, so he
knows the aspect.
I hear that. All right, here's a fascinating one for you. On to your Red Sox, because I have to ask this question.
Don't even get me started.
I have a few questions in regards to your Red Sox, and I'll just ask this. When do you – I know Mookie Betts and David Price, the trades of those two was the start of the proverbial rebuild or reset they're calling it in Boston, because rebuilding in Boston's like taboo. I get it. I don't want to offend anybody if you're in the Boston area. But once you do the David Price thing and you do the Mookie Betts thing, doesn't it feel like Xander Bogaerts got to be looked at next? You got to look at JD Martinez next. I mean, you can't trade Chris Sale because that contract is disastrous.
It's been extended. That contract actually got extended 2 more years.
No, he got 4 more years.
Oh, that's right. He got a 4-year contract.
Yeah, because Dave Dombrowski gave him a 5-year deal at $145 million.
That's right.
And he missed all of this year with Tommy John. But where do you start, Big Zach? Are you starting with JD Martinez, or are you going straight for Xander Bogaerts all the way? You starting at the top of the food chain with Xander Bogaerts?
To answer your question on that, to be honest, where we decided to trade Mookie Betts, that was a tough call, to be honest, because he was valued in Boston a lot. Mm-hmm. But I think after Ortiz retired, he was supposed to be the next David Ortiz, to be honest. But after all that, Mookie Betts said, you know what? It's time to make a change. Where the money is, I'll take it.
Correct me if I'm wrong. They had talks with him about a contract extension, did they not? Like
David Ortiz?
No. Mookie Betts.
They had, but then he denied it.
Okay, so in that particular instance, wouldn't you want to trade him to get some value back, knowing that he's not going to be there anyway?
Yes, to be honest, yes. And we have some other good key players. We have JBJ. We got
I would trade him. I would have traded him too because he's on the last year of his deal.
Yeah, Mitch Moreland. I think he has.
Mitch Moreland's in San Diego. They traded him. They traded him away.
Yeah, he got okay. And his ERA for this season was pretty well.
Yeah, his
1.7, 1.77. That's a pretty good ERA for the season, just to start.
Yeah,
with minimal training too.
Yeah, I mean, I think. Look, at the end of the day, in Boston, you're headed for a rebuild. There's no other way to sugarcoat it. It sucks, but 4 championships in 15 years will help the rebuild along a little bit. But
curse broke after 50 plus years. That was crazy.
I hear you, man. Anyway, Big Zach, thank you for hopping on with us, man. We appreciate it, and keep us up to date on your travels, man. Safe travels out there.
Yes, and thank you for your service, man. Really,
thank you.
Really appreciate it, man.
Anytime, guys. Yes. I appreciate it.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Big Zach, thank you for hopping on. We appreciate it.
That was awesome.
That was fun. Yeah, you gotta like when a guy like that hops on and you see what he's gonna do for his country, and so shouts out to him, man. That's awesome.
The veterans out there, man, and fighting for us.
Yes. All right. Speaking of fighting, I think we got to go here because I've been holding this in for a little while.
Okay.
I think you guys are going to Game 7 with the Flyers.
Why? Why do you got to do this to me for?
Because I think Claude Giroux was woken up. I think Konechny's going to have a nice game. Right. I think we're headed for another overtime thriller, a nice little hard tack. And so get your Wheaties in, man, because it's going to be a long night for the Big Deal Double G.
I hope not.
I think Carter Hart gives up 2 goals. He bends, but he doesn't break, and we're headed for a Game 7 on – when is it? When would it be? Saturday night?
Yeah.
What did Elton John say? Saturday night.
Saturday night's all right for fighting.
Listen.
Get a little action in.
Listen, all I'm saying is I'm hoping for a Game 7. I want to see a Game 7. I think for me, for the purposes of entertainment, this series need to go 7. I need back and forth between you and Kayla. And it will just be fun for me, so I'm excited.
I think we win tonight.
Listen, of course we do. That's no secret.
We bounced back after every game we lost where we could have closed the series out. We ended up winning, so I'm going based on that. Trotz is going to have these guys ready to play. I think they got the message. Like, all right, the past couple of games, we haven't really played well. That is a big factor, no doubt, that Giroux scored 1 and, he could get rolling. I definitely wouldn't be overlooking him at all, or Konechny too. But I just think the way we bounce back in these type of games, I think we're ready for it. I think Varlamov's ready. And you got to shoot up high on Carter Hart. That's what they got to do. But Philly, I know, won't go away in this game. But I think we'll win by 2 or 3 goals, I think.
Oh, you're going out on a limb saying 2 or 3 goals.
Yeah.
I like the spikes.
I think like a 4-2, 5-2 victory tonight.
Listen, I'm saying you're going to white knuckle it. White knuckle sandwich. White knuckle sandwich. Thank you for the like, Veronica. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked either.
White knuckle sandwich is going down to the just going down to the wire, and both teams are going to be in for it. And you know what? I get to enjoy all of it because I'm not rooting. I don't got a dog in the fight. I'm just here having fun.
I had Islanders in 6, so I'm sticking by that.
Islanders in 6. I know we said we were going to touch on it last, but it just came up. All right, so he got the Islanders in 6. Are you looking ahead to who they may be playing, or you just want to get through the night and then reassess it after it's all done?
No, I mean, whoever wins this series plays Tampa, so, we got to be prepared for that.
Are you looking ahead to that, or you just want to...
No, I'm focused on tonight. One game at a time. I can't,
Oh.
That would be interesting playing them because we lost to them in 2016. So if we do end up playing them, I'd like to get back at them and beat them. Yeah, because I still hold those grudges. Like the Penguins beating us years ago, then we beat them. Capitals, we beat them this year. They beat us in 15. So I still remember those. I don't let that go.
Bitter boy.
Listen, that's why they call me that. So,
Listen, we need a bitter boy shirt.
Yeah, right? I mean, got to get this going. Hashtag bitter boy.
Listen, I'm ignoring your Phillies comment for a reason because I'm not ready to talk baseball yet. We'll get to that in a second. But I will say this. I think that Alain Vigneault is going to have the Flyers ready to play. And look, Tampa's no slouch. Tampa's not going to be easy to deal with.
No.
And here's the thing I want to see is which line comes up first, and does Barzal play? Because there's been no official announcement of whether he's going to play or not.
Or Sean Couturier, because they were both out for the remainder of the games the other night.
So who? Listen, if they're both out, that leaves things pretty even, wouldn't you say? Or you think one tips the scales more than the other?
I think it's pretty even. I mean, it depends. The Couturier is good, or they have different skill sets. I would say Barzal is the better player skill-wise, but Couturier is, gritty, grind-it-out type of player, can still score.
Right.
So I did see projections if, like, say, Barzal is out, they would move Pajot to the number 1 line, which would be really intriguing with Everly and Lee. That could be fascinating. And then Couturier, if he's out, see who they sub in for him.
Right. Listen, Bo, I think we're headed for an intriguing game tonight. I'm just hoping that it doesn't kill either one of you. Okay?
It will anyway, because regardless, whether it's a regulation ending game, an overtime ending game, forget it. From puck drop, we're going to be dying, me and Taylor, so.
Listen, I'm trying to spare you, all right? I don't need you
got
guys
the Phillies, then Flyers. I got Mets playing the Yankees. Probably will be in a heart attack. Then the Islanders. I mean, I'll be watching the Islanders more than the Mets, obviously, but still.
This game should be over by the time the Islander game starts.
No, Islanders are at 7, so there's no way this game's going to be over.
I mean, it might be a late stage. You don't care who wins anyway.
You'll release them by like 8, 9 o'clock at night, depending on what happens.
No, they're not going to end that late. No.
I mean, if it ends up being high scoring, who knows?
I'm going to say this. I might not stay around for this whole Yankee-Met game because I have other things that I might want to watch. So.
What are you going to watch? Are you going to watch the hockey? You got basketball? What's
on the
docket at the house tonight? What are you watching?
A little bit of both. I'm definitely going to watch your Islanders. I want to see if the Raptors can make this a series because if not, and this Western Conference game is if there is a Western Conference game, bottom of the 6th. Okay.
What do you make of the big story of the day? Nash being hired by the Brooklyn Nets. Let's get into that a little bit. As a basketball fan, what do you?
I don't hate it. I understand where they're coming from, but here's what I will say on the matter, and I think this needs to be addressed off the top. it's a gamble. It's a gamble because number one, Steve Nash has no coaching experience. Steve Nash has never coached at the NBA level before.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that this is who the players wanted. This is who Kevin Durant wanted. This is who Kyrie Irving wanted. So this is why this got done ultimately. And for point of context, yeah, Steve Nash is the Brooklyn Nets coach.
Yeah.
For point of context, Steve Nash was very close to Kevin Durant when they were in Golden State. The 3 years that Steve Nash worked as a consultant to development. He was a development consultant. So he worked with Curry. He worked with KD. He worked with a lot of the Warriors in terms of, offensive strategy, and he was big. He was big in trying to get them to develop. So I think that makes sense because there's a comfortability factor with KD and Nash. But here's the thing: I think Kyrie's the wild card. I think because if Kyrie's temperamental and wants it his way and doesn't really respect Steve Nash, then this could all blow up in everyone's face. But Sean Marks has been trying to recruit him to coach and to do this, and then they finally got the deal done. The thing that I found interesting was we don't know what the figure is. We know it's 4 years, but you know what? It's going to end when the players decide it's going to end because KD and Kyrie were the driving force behind this hire. So when players say we want somebody with experience, then that's when it'll end. Because here's the thing. I think this is happening because players don't want to be ridiculed. They don't want to be told what to do.
They want familiarity, like you said. They want somebody they feel comfortable with and won't ridicule them. Right, because that's what KD and Kyrie really don't like being criticized by media, by fans, by their coaching staff,
and that's why I think ultimately I think this hire was made because there's a bunch of candidates that could have gotten this job, whether it be Tyronn Lue, whether it be Tyronn Lue, Sam Cassell could have gotten this job. Mark Jackson should have been a candidate for this job. And so the fact that they're not candidates and the fact that they weren't seriously considered for this job tells you that the players themselves, they don't want to be told what to do. They want to have an equal say in who the head coach is, how the front office is built, everything like that. And so when I look at it from that standpoint, I think this is the one thing that I take away from it. I think ultimately, does it work out? We'll see. I'm very pessimistic that it will work out, just from the standpoint that when you give the players that much power, it usually never does work out. There's usually some sort of blowback and go, whoa, this is what you wanted. Now you gotta lie in it. And so Mark Jackson deserved it, but he was never going to get the job for reasons other than basketball, which I will not get into for the purposes of this show because it's all like political and all this sort of stuff.
And two popular coaching hires in New York: Tom Thibodeau with the Knicks, and now Nash with Brooklyn. Pretty interesting.
At least Thibodeau has some sort of experience. Where if you look at Steve Nash, he's never coached on any level before. He was the GM of Team Canada in the Olympics, so he's had some roster construction,
but not in the NBA.
The NBA is a different beast. Listen, the fact that they kept Jacques Vaughn as the highest paid assistant in the NBA just shows that Jacques Vaughn's going to have a hand in this more than Steve Nash, or just as much as Steve Nash. And listen, we can talk about the coaching all we want, but at the end of the day, players got to play. And this is what it boils down to. We can sit there and talk about, well, will this be beneficial for the players? Won't it be like, in the day, Kyrie got to go out there and play 60, 70 games. KD got to go out there and play 60, 70 games. But I'll just make this point and then we'll move on. Can you imagine if the Knicks made a move like this? Can you imagine the media reaction to the Knicks making a move like this?
Yeah.
That's why I think there's a double standard, because the Nets do it and everybody's lauding it as this great move and oh my God. But if the Knicks do it, oh, it's the Knicks. They're the last.
Was that the reaction for the most part by media today?
Really positive. Really, really, really positive. And not that I'm saying there's anything wrong with that. I mean, be positive. If you feel like he deserved the job, then sure.
Everything's like a negative thing. It's
if the Knicks did it, it's like, look at the Knicks being typical Knicks, ain't doing nothing right. Can't get it right. You hire a novice head coach with no experience. This is New York. Well, I feel like that's not even an argument with the Nets. Like, we forget they're in Brooklyn sometimes. It's like they're in Siberia. It's like, oh, it's the Nets being the Nets. It's no big deal. Like, but if the Knicks did it, we're getting like they're getting crucified. They're ready to put Dolan out on the stake. And I don't think that's necessarily fair, but I get reputation is everything in this business. So it's an interesting hire. I'll say that. By the way, a little bit of news. RJ Barrett is Steve Nash's godson. Steve Nash is RJ Barrett's godfather. So how about that for
interesting
irony and drama and, you know, Thanksgiving at the Nash Barrett get together. That's, hey, it's a little bit uncomfortable, wouldn't you say?
A little bit.
I don't know. It was just a weird day today with everything going on. We got to get into Leonard Fournette.
Yes.
Because that Leonard Fournette thing was crazy. First of all, Tampa. For God's sakes, for the love of all things holy, how many offensive weapons do you need?
It's ridiculous at this point. You have two superstar running backs with him and LaShawn McCoy. The wide receiver core is a joke.
Yo,
you got Gronkowski. I mean, Brady.
Are you kidding me with this?
They're automatically going to the Super Bowl. I'm just going to say that now.
But can I just say this? Can I caution you? Because Philly, Kayla, you remember when this happened in Philly where they brought in Mike Vick, they brought in this one, you had Deshaun, they brought this one in, that one in. This has the same vibe to what they did in Philly.
Could it fall flat? Sure. But
because Bruce Arians ain't Bill Belichick. I'll tell you that right now.
But I can't see it. I can't see them falling apart. Now, if like Seattle or San Fran beat them, I mean, it could happen.
Listen, I'm still taking Kansas City over everybody.
I know.
Kansas City, till that boy Mahomes gets beat, I'm taking KC over the world. By the way, congratulations to Patrick Mahomes getting engaged to his sweetheart. So, you know, he putting that $500 million to good use already.
Yeah. And it was cool because he did it at the Super Bowl ring ceremony. And then after he got his ring, he proposed. And
there's going to be a little Patty running around in about 8.5 months. Yeah, man, it's always good when you get to top it off with an engagement ring at the end, but
yeah, I think they're overrated. I
do too. I got to be honest with you.
Everyone loves New Orleans.
Drew Brees is a year older. Drew Brees is a year. I mean, you could say the same thing for Brady, but Brady got weapons.
Brady is on another level than everybody else. Let's just be fair.
Yeah, Scar Jeff fan coming to the forefront.
But I mean, yes, that's part of it. But I mean, he's the GOAT. Like, let's just, you know.
Scar Jeff fan coming to the forefront.
Now, Mahomes, of course, is a beast, reigning Super Bowl champ and all that. But Brady is still that where Mahomes wants to be. Like, that many Super Bowl titles and that many trips to the Super Bowl. Like, Brady's still a class of quarterbacks in the NFL. Even though he's old man River, he really don't look like it. I think this could rejuvenate him. That offense playing in warm weather for most of the year.
Yeah, you're not playing in the cold, freezing. You know what?
New England winters are brutal, and on those old bones,
Oh, when you feel like you're 90 and can't
get
move,
up in the morning.
you can't. Get up,
Although the way he trains and eats, like
getting up in
probably
the
doesn't
morning.
feel any aches, like, and he barely gets hit. He's always had a consistent old line in front of him too. So
The joints hoit. You get up in the morning, you're like, this hoits. This don't feel good. That don't feel good. So, I mean, we'll see what's up. I mean, I'm not. Listen, we all know this could fall apart because we've seen this happen in the NFL. I mean, but it doesn't hurt that you give Brady all these weapons and say, yeah, go try to win another one.
I still think Brady's the better quarterback than Breeze.
I mean, because I've seen Brady win big games. I haven't seen Drew Brees win big games.
Now he has an amazing arm and he's an awesome talent, but I think playing in a dome half the year, I think plays a big part in that. I know people don't want to hear that, but I'm sorry.
That's a good point. Where Brady's playing outside and you know what, you might freeze and the ball comes out a little wobbly. It's a little different. You got a point.
I mean, I ain't taking nothing away. I mean, his records, he broke his stats. I mean, it's an accomplishment, absolutely. But to me, you do have to take that into account.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
In my opinion, people could disagree, but that's something you got to look at if you're debating quarterbacks.
I mean, that's why to me, I look at Drew Brees and he is great, but I always look at him with a grain of salt because you are playing in a dome. You're not playing outside, which is why I think I look at a guy like Aaron Rodgers. I look at Brady. I look at all these guys that played in actual outside weather. And I'm like, those dudes that won Super Bowls that played outside that had to deal with the harsh conditions, they have a leg up because when postseason time comes, you're not playing. You know what I'm saying? Where the other quarterback on the other side is like, yo, it's like 90 below. They got the hand warm.
Could even say the same for Peyton Manning. All his career played in a dome up until he went to Denver, but
even then he had no arm. He was like, he was throwing.
He was like 100 at that point. That's where Gase got all of his credit. That when he was in Denver.
Oh.
Yeah, I can't. Let's not even go. Because I ranted on the show already about that. I don't need to do it again. Wait till the season starts, then you'll be getting the Jet rants.
On
Sundays.
Listen, all I want is like one horrible loss to set him off and just turn the thing on and go.
You're sick, you know that? You just want me to go. You want me to go into a tirade just for ratings.
Can you blame me? It works. Listen, come October, if my boys are lucky enough to get there, then you're gonna get a couple of these too. So, all right. So we're a half hour until puck drop, which means I'm gonna let you go. You gave me more than enough time. We only wanted to do an hour today because we got to get him ready to. We got to get him mentally locked in, and ready to roll. But any parting shots, big dog, before we?
Let's go, Islanders. That's my last word. Hopefully we get there, close it out tonight. It would be the first time in 27 years that we get to the conference finals. So I may be emotional.
Big dog was actually a thought.
Yeah, it wasn't. I was born later that year, but wasn't around just yet.
You weren't even puppy dog. You were a little pup.
We beat Washington on that run. We beat Pittsburgh with Lemieux and Yager. Unfortunately, we lost to Montreal, who ended up winning the Cup that year. Good luck to you, Kayla. Props to you, Kayla. I must say, you've been a good sport throughout this whole thing. I appreciate it, So I think I have too, I really haven't, because I don't like that. Because I don't like doing it to people, and then I don't like getting it to me. So,
Yeah, Big Dog's not a big trash talker, so I'm not surprised by this. But you guys have done this amicably, and you've done this very well. So will the best team win? Big Dog, go get mentally locked in for puck drop, and
about to put the pregame on now. I gotta get, Kayla, I'm sure you too gotta get ready. Barzal is taking warm-ups. Just got word.
I just got the confirmation he will play.
All right. Yep, he's in the warm-up. All right.
All right.
Yeah, because, just stitch him up. He'll be all right. Listen.
As Big Dog likes to say, he's a hockey player.
Yeah, exactly.
Later.
Take care, Kayla. Later, brother. We'll talk.
Yes, sir.
All right. Bye.